Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 20th, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here tonight. I want to remind you that this meeting is being recorded. For a roll call, it looks like we have everyone. I know Yana can't be here tonight. I don't see Faith here, and then Doug Lyons and Steve Mayo, but it looks like everyone else is here. So thank you. Before we jump into the public participation, I think it's important to acknowledge the news just from this afternoon with the verdict in the Derrick Chauvin trial. I'm still kind of, it's so new, I'm still processing this, but I think what I want to say is this is not the end. This is the beginning of a lot of important, uncomfortable, difficult conversations. This verdict was the right verdict and a step in the right direction, but there are so many, there's still so much work to be done. And that's why we're here. And that's why we have a Human Rights Commission. And that's why we have these conversations, and that we're doing the work of acknowledging that there is bigotry and discrimination and that lives have been lost because of it, and that we're still doing this hard work, and we continue to be committed to this hard work. So so I just wanted to acknowledge that, and absolutely, if anybody else has anything that they want to say about it, we welcome you to do so. And having said that, we can go to the public participation, but if any other member of the Human Rights Commission would like to say anything, you can add your voice to this. So we do have some members of the public who are here with us tonight. Thank you for being here. If anyone would like to speak, you are invited to do so. I would just ask that in the interest of making sure that everyone has the time to say what they would like to say, that you keep your comments limited to 3 minutes. With that, I can see everyone on one screen. So if somebody wants to raise their hand, I'll call on whoever I see first, and we'll just go in order if anybody would like to say anything. Julie, did I see your hand?
Sure, so thank you. My name's Julie Smith-Galvin, 28 Grafton Street, and Town Councilor. I don't really have any prepared remarks, but I just want to thank you, Maria, and this entire committee, I guess it's a commission, right? For being in town. I think what we've seen over the last couple of weeks with the White Lives Matter and what's happening nationally, obviously is touching our neighborhoods and our children and our entire population. And I think the fact that we have this group of people who are charged with really thinking about it and being a leader on it and helping us through these very difficult conversations. I mean, I think, as I said in my statement, I have no idea what the answers are, but I'm very grateful to all of you that we can have these conversations and really try to work with the community to make Wakefield more welcoming. So simply thank you for being here, and I look forward to hopefully continuing to work with you on these efforts.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Anyone else?
Maria,
Daniela?
it looks like Daniela and Matt had their hand raised there.
Okay, Daniela and then Matt.
Hi, I also don't have anything prepared for this meeting, but just wanted to say thank you. Mirroring actually what Julie said, is that I just was really discouraged to see the protest of White Lives Matter in the town. I actually saw it from the back, and I didn't understand what I had seen until I went on social media, and it just made me feel bad that this was happening in my town, and that so many people felt powerless or were being attacked. And it was just like, oh my goodness, everyone was turning on each other on social media. But to see what you had done to bring out this sort of proclamation, the town council was so quick to sign it. It just, that sort of, was reaffirming that there is good out there, that there is progress happening, that there are like minds in this community. And so I just wanted to thank you, because I do think this work's really important. And so I just hope that at some point in time in the future, I can help be part of this change, this good effort to do better and to continue learning.
Thanks, Daniela. And Matt, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much. With my 3 minutes, I'd like to read part of a letter that I sent the commission earlier this week regarding the event that took place on April 11th. My name is Matt Ataya. I'm a graduate student in Boston and a resident of Wakefield. As a resident of Wakefield, I have found that Lake Quannapowitt has become an increasingly unfriendly place to be. While the event on April 11th is likely the most significant act of racially motivated hate that has occurred in Wakefield in recent years, it is not the only one. Over the last year, individuals yielding White Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, and Italian Lives Matter signs have made a home at the Commons. All of these messages perpetuate the racially motivated violence that the town council and school committee claim to oppose. Not only are these messages hurtful to the residents of color and other marginalized groups of people that call Wakefield home, but they also expose the youth of our town, who often gather at the lake, to messages sympathetic to white supremacy and fascism. It is for this reason we must not only proclaim to be against hate, but act on this message. As such, I propose that the Wakefield Human Rights Commission holds an event at the head of the lake where those white supremacists stood to reclaim the heart of our town. We must not let our town become a breeding ground for hate. We must actively celebrate and support the people of color, Jewish people, queer and trans people, disabled people, the women in our community, and all those who were dehumanized by the white nationalist movements connected to the event that took place in our town on April 11th. We must take back the lake and elevate the voices of those who are threatened and harmed by white supremacists. We must not only proclaim, but also demonstrate our commitment to inclusion and diversity in Wakefield. To not act in an impactful and meaningful way would suggest to those who wish to spread hate that we as a town are compliant to their messages. I suggest we take this opportunity to spread love, joy, diversity, and inclusion around Lake Quannapowitt and provide the youth of our town with more positive messages as they walk the lake. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. Anyone else?
Chief Scory also has his hand up.
Go ahead, Chief.
Hi, Steve Scory, Police Chief in Wakefield. I wanted to comment on the White Lives Matter issue that came up on April 11th. That was a national movement. We saw what happened in some other parts of the country. We saw what happened in Huntington Beach, California, where there were counter protesters. There were some skirmishes. People got arrested. People got hurt. And, you know, that didn't happen in Wakefield. And I think that speaks volumes about the people who live in Wakefield. This group was in town for about an hour. They marched up Water Street from Nacella Park. They marched down Main Street to Main and Salem, and they went back to their vehicles. And they didn't get the reception they were looking for. They didn't get the attention that they wanted. And I think that alone shows the where the people in Wakefield stand. Those people weren't accepted. They might have got a few honks. That's about it. And they left. And I was proud of our Wakefieldians for not giving them the attention that they wanted. Those are my comments on that.
Thank you, Chief. Sherry, did you want to say something?
Okay, pressing all the wrong buttons. Just echoing Chief Scory, the town did not validate that demonstration. And when one turns their back and when something actively like that is going on, that is a very positive message that we do not believe as you believe. But I agree with Matt Ataya that we have to do things more proactively, and we have. I don't know, Matt, if you've noticed that we've been posting these positive messages around town in the kiosks, at the library, at different businesses, beautiful artwork done by one of the members of the council, Yana. And we've had commemorations for Black History Month. We are now working on AAPI commemorations. In June, we will be working on our Pride Month. And in October, we introduced a commemoration of Indigenous people. And so we're trying as best we can, considering the limitations during the pandemic, to bring to people's attention the positive aspects of all the diverse populations of this community and the communities around us. And I'm very proud to be a part of this commission because of that work.
Thank you, Sherry. Anyone else? Benny, go ahead. You're muted, Benny.
Benny, you're on mute.
Cool. I do want to say that I love the idea that Matt brought up of like a pro love and inclusion rally of some kind. I don't know, this question keeps coming up like over and over again. What is allowed in terms of gathering? Like, I'm thinking about the Black Lives Matter march that the high schoolers organized in March. Was it March or May or June? It was sometime. Like that was a significant gathering of people that seemed to be like it was a really positive experience and a thing that I think was really impactful for the town. And I'd be in favor of helping to organize something impactful and positive to reclaim that space, like Matt was saying. Because I really do think, I think it is impactful, like seeing the White Lives Matter messaging and the white supremacist messaging around town. I have to say, so I was biking around town to deliver some stuff, and I was biking all around town, and after spending just like an hour or however long it was on different like small residential roads, my heart was heavy, and I was weighed down with like what Matt was saying, the Blue Lives Matter signs, so I say that not to be anti-police, but to the Blue Lives Matter language has been co-opted by white supremacists in a lot of cases, you know, so it brings up that stuff for me. And like there's a lot of that imagery and a lot of that language in our town. And it makes it hard to be around in public spaces for me. And I think for a lot of people. And then the White Lives Matter rally, same, like it like leaves this imprint on the space of our town. Like I like, Matt, the way that you captured the fact that our public space, this beloved space, has like a residue on it now of like hatred and exclusion. And so I love the idea of doing something to overwrite that residue with something positive. So again, I don't know what would be allowed in terms of gathering, but I'd be into it.
Would any one of our town officials be comfortable weighing in on kind of what the feasibility is of that? Don't all jump at once.
Looking at Maureen, she's like staying on mute. I think officially, I can tell you from just trying to plan some Earth Day events this week and next, the direction from public health was no public events. I have to say, I think this might be a bit different if it's a moving around kind of thing. I think the analogy to the Black Lives Matter in last summer, maybe look at that. I don't know, Maureen.
Yeah, echoing what you said, I think the governor's rule is still no gatherings more than 25, but protest and no, he changed it.
I just looked it up. The current gathering for outdoor events is 150 people.
It's a conversation, Maria, maybe to have with Ruth Clay and others. You know, I think it's a wonderful idea. I just want to make sure we do it safely and respectfully. But yes, like if it's safe and we can do it, then we should do it.
Yeah, because
I just want to say something. I agree with everything that was saying, and I have to leave in a little bit too early. So I just want to add my 2 cents. It was nice. It was nice that there wasn't any violence, and there, what happened in other cities didn't happen here. But as I said at our meeting last week, out of 351 towns in Massachusetts, they came to Wakefield, partly because of what Benny mentioned, the signs that they've seen around. And as a woman of color and a person of color living in Wakefield, seeing a sign that says white lives matter, I don't have to have violence to make me feel unwelcomed in my town that I'm an elected official. So yes, there was no violence, but it really hurt me to get those texts while I was out of town speaking at a Asian Lives Matter rally in Quincy, and to get those texts that was in my town, and that nobody in town actually reached out. Like, people drove by it and it wasn't, it wasn't stopped in whatever way that means. It was a little concerning. So I do want to change that narrative. Yes, it was peaceful and we weren't violent, but it was still wrong. And it was still offensive to me, and it should be offensive to everyone else. And part of the reason Julie and Jonathan and my other counselors passed that resolution so quickly is now we have a statement that is not welcomed in our town. And next time people like that come to our town, we have a statement to say, move along, you are not welcomed here. You are not invited here. We do not support you. And so I want to be really clear about that, because everyone is on this call for a reason. Everyone had the same reaction, but I just want to speak of a person of color to see that in my town. It doesn't matter that they were here for an hour or longer. It's still offensive and it was still wrong.
Thank you, Maureen. Sherry, go ahead.
And it goes beyond color, because it also brings up neo-Nazism, and anyone in this town who is of Jewish background, I'm sure also felt quite threatened by it.
Maria, Charlene had her hand up in the chat, and then I saw Elizabeth after that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that, Charlene. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm new to this. Yeah, I just wanted to say, from what I had heard, this group, I know it was a national push to get this group out, this White Lives Matter. But from what I read on social media, it seemed that they had gone to Malden first and were pushed out of Malden. I'm not sure how, but the community somehow seemed to react to move them on. And then they came to Wakefield. So I didn't see them personally, but seeing it online and knowing that there was really no pushback was disappointing to me. And so I wanted to join tonight to see what we can do as a community, what kind of steps we can take, or what kind of protocol if something like that happens again, so that we're not kind of silently complicit. And I agree with what Matt had said earlier about the lake, kind of being co-opted at times, and also about the Blue Lives Matters flags that just make the community unwelcome. And I'm not clear if the people that are using those flags know that, that the white supremacy organizations have kind of co-opted that flag. So it seems like there are people in town that would see the White Lives Matter and think, oh yeah, white lives do matter, because I've heard that and seen that on message boards. So I think there has to be more education done. And I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but I just want to bring up one other point. And just Wakefield being a walkable community, I often go to Breakheart, which I love, but sometimes I'll just do a walking route in my neighborhood. And every time I do that, there's at least one or two people who scream out the window at me, like cars of men going by that leer or harass in some way. And, you know, that goes on all the time, so much that it's like, okay, I'm not going to walk in my community because, you know, I'm not a thin person, so I'm not sure if they're like making fun of me because I'm heavier, or it's just that it's easy to do. But I just wanted to bring that up as another kind of unfriendly thing that goes on. That's it.
Thank you, Charlene. And I'm sorry that that's happened to you. Elizabeth, go ahead.
So I want to first thank Maureen for her emotional labor and sharing her own personal experiences there, and thank Matt for bringing the ask that we do something and we respond and we act as a community. Words are violence, right? Words and signs are violence. And we've been talking about and around that for months in Wakefield, in talking about the high school sports team logo. And I see these conversations happen constantly on Facebook. So I also want to bring up one other thing that I have been hearing a lot on Facebook and have not heard tonight here, thankfully. That I frequently hear people say, this is not who we are. This is not our town. And I disagree. I think this is who we are. This may not be who we want to be, and this is not who we should be. This is not the community that we strive to be. But unfortunately, this is the reality of who we are as a whole community right now. We are a community where people feel safe to show up with their White Lives Matter signs. We are a community where they can be present in our town for an hour. And that may seem like a short time, but that is a full hour in a relatively small town without any response from a group of people. And I'll own that myself, right? I was not there. I did not, get in my car and drive down to see what was going on and how I could be present to speak against them. I think that our work in the Human Rights Commission is to work towards a more welcoming, more just, and more loving community. And I do think that continued action, even as a small group, and even when that's hard, that works against white supremacy is what we need.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Nicole, go ahead.
I'm not crying, my eyes and my allergies are really bad, so I'm sorry I keep going off screen. And I don't even kind of really know what to say. I know, again, as a person of color, I was very disheartened to see that, and the same thing, that there was no pushback. I agree with, I take in what, oh gosh, I'm sorry, Superintendent or Sergeant Scory just said, that no one engaged with them, but listening to people who recorded it and hearing people beeping and putting up the thumbs up was really disenchanting. And I just, again, like everyone's been saying, like, I think the education is lacking in town, and I don't know how we do it. Like, I had an incident this week, and I thought that the police officers did a great job. My African-American child was hit by a car. They were there. The school resource officer came. Everybody was very, kind, and, and they came out, but then just to leave there and to see, and, see again the flags, so like for a minute, I feel like my life was important, and then I leave and I feel like it's not. And just the kind of rereading on social media what people are saying about the event and how it's okay and it's no big deal and people's lives are getting canceled because whatever. And I just feel like people are not being canceled. It's just that you just need to be aware of what's going on and how people are feeling. And so we can move forward. And it takes everybody. It doesn't just take one group of people, it takes everybody to make it work. And I just feel like there's one section of Wakefield that wants to and one section that doesn't. And like the minister said, it is who we are, and how are we going to move forward so it is not where we continue to be.
Thanks, Nicole.
Maria, Chief has his hand up in the Zoom.
Oh, go ahead. Chief Scory.
I just want to add some information. So after this group showed up to Wakefield, we reached out to our federal law enforcement partners to try and gain some intel on what they might have known about the group and why they chose Wakefield. We don't know. As far as we know, there were no Wakefield residents involved with that group. We know that most of the license plates of the cars that they went back to were from out of state. So we don't know why they chose Wakefield. We do know that there was a group of counter protesters waiting for them in Malden. They never went to Malden. So they weren't run out of Malden, they just didn't show there. So we don't know why they picked Wakefield. I assume it's because they thought that on a Sunday afternoon, maybe that they figured there were be a lot of people out and about, and they picked a bad day. The weather wasn't good. And when I said they were only here for an hour, I wasn't trying to minimize the fact that they were here. I guess my point was, if they had got the attention they were looking for, they would have been here for much longer, and they didn't get that. So I wasn't trying to minimize anything. I was just trying to make a point about, and I referenced Huntington Beach because if people had shown up to counter protest, what does that turn into? I don't want to see people get hurt. You know, I'm proud of the people on this Human Rights Commission for speaking up and having this healthy conversation tonight. But I don't want to see people getting hurt out in the streets. We don't agree with the message they were here for, and they left. I call that a victory.
Thank you, Chief.
I just have, oh, sorry. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't see it either. I was at home and I just learned about it online, but if that was to happen and you're just happen to be walking by or you're just driving by, is that a reason to call the police?
So whether we agree with somebody's message or not, people have First Amendment rights.
Okay.
If you remember back in 2002, there was a white supremacist who came to Wakefield and spoke at the library. And because it's a First Amendment right to free speech, we didn't have the right to turn him away. That was a huge event. We had to call in law enforcement partners from all over the state. We probably had 300 police officers here that day. For anybody that remembers and was around, we shut down the downtown area. There were fights in Main Street. We had multiple arrests. People got hurt. It wasn't a good day for Wakefield at all. And we didn't agree with the message this person was here for. But unfortunately, as police officers, we have to protect everybody, whether we agree with what they have to say or not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did the marchers on the 11th have a permit to walk through town? Did they need a permit to walk through town?
You don't need a permit. As long as you don't block the sidewalks or obstruct a public way, you don't need it, and you're not disorderly, you don't need a permit. And there was no crime committed, let me put it that way.
And thank you for sharing some of that information, because I know there was a lot of information and misinformation that was flying around social media. So so I appreciate you filling us in on some of the facts. Thank you very much for that. All right. Would anybody else like to say anything?
So if there were to be next steps, right, would it be, somebody mentioned talking to is her name Ruth Clay, the health department, head of the health department? Isn't she leaving? Is there a new person?
She is leaving. I don't know when.
Anyway, well, but to talk to her about, you know, a potential event or outdoor gathering thing, and like, would we want to plan something? Do we want to have a like a subcommittee or something to put together an event?
I think that's something that we could absolutely propose a motion for and take a vote on. So do we have a motion to plan some sort of, not sure what the best term is to call it. It's not a counter protest, but it's some sort of either a rally or
Inclusivity rally. Or I like
Inclusivity
Wakefield
rally,
for
I like
love, or somebody said something
Okay.
like that. Right?
So moved.
Hate has no home here rally.
I like that. Do I have a second? All right, second. And okay, taking the voting members, yeah, they're mixed in with the members of the public. So I'm just going to call you out as I see you on my screen. Sherry,
Yes.
Benny,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Amy.
No.
And I think that's everyone. All right. Thank you. All right, so that passes. Do we have members who would be in support of, who would be interested in joining together to plan something?
Members and non-members, anybody can join.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get the members first and
Oh,
then
sorry.
invite. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. But yes, absolutely, members of the public, both here at the meeting, and if there are other people who end up watching this later, if this is something you want to volunteer about. And obviously, this is all with the understanding that we need to speak to Ruth Clay first. We need to have some conversations with town officials just to talk about the logistics. Before we start putting plans together. But yes, are there members of the commission that would like to start working on this?
Can I ask like what, how soon? I just have a number of things going on. So I don't want to, I would like to commit, but I don't know if I can. So how soon are you thinking, Benny?
Yeah,
How
it's
soon
not
could you do
something
it?
yeah.
What would work for you?
I I don't want to, I'll be available, but I'm not going to, I can't commit just yet. And I can talk to you about that later, so.
And I think the reality with the open meeting law and being able to having to post meetings in advance and likely needing at least, I would say 2 meetings probably. I mean, I don't think this would probably be able to come together in the next month. And for those members of the public who aren't familiar with any town body is subject to the open meeting law, meaning you need to post in order to make decisions on things. It needs to be done at a public meeting, which needs to be posted 48 hours in advance so that the public has notice of it. So it definitely, in terms of rapid response to things, it is an essential part of how we operate, but it's also something that can slow us down a little bit. So just so no one's questioning why we can't put this together for next week. Next week is not a possibility. I just want to manage expectations. So yeah, I would say realistically, it probably is not something that could be done within the month, but I could be wrong about that. Sherry, did you have something to say?
Yeah, would it dilute, I don't know what other word to use, our Pride and Juneteenth commemorations in June if we had it during that month, or would it complement that?
I think if this is truly a rally of inclusivity, that it only enhances the recognition of those other populations that we're talking about.
So maybe this could be one of the larger parts of what goes on in the month of June. I know we raise a flag, and there are, we're going to do a special flag for Juneteenth as well, but maybe this could be the active part if we get permission for our June activity.
I'm interested in being part of this, but I really want someone who knows Wakefield a lot better than I do, since I'm so new to also, I've been sitting here thinking, I want to do this, but I cannot be a primary just because I am still so new.
Yeah.
We also have the challenge that we're going to be in transition with commission members over the next month or so.
Mhm.
Some of the faces you see on the screen now won't officially be part of the commission. A couple of the faces coming in May and June. Sad to say, too.
Doesn't mean they can't still be involved after they're off the commission. No pressure, anyone. All right.
So, okay, wait. So I'm interested. Elizabeth is interested, but maybe needs it. Teresa. Yeah.
No,
Benny?
Benny, you know what you're doing. I trust that. I've seen you organize other things. I would be absolutely on board, knowing that you are good at organizing things.
I don't know.
Faith would be a good person to talk to because she did organize a large
Yeah,
event.
she and Raina organized that. Mark.
Faith would be excellent.
Yeah.
The same thing, she's gonna be graduating, so
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
Right. I definitely would not want to commit her until we ask her.
But she could be an advisor in terms of, you know, what she learned from planning an event of that size.
All right.
Any of you, like Matt, would you be interested in joining us?
I would be interested in joining. Thank you so much.
Cool. Would you, I don't know how you want to do it. Do you want to like put your email in the chat or something?
I don't think we have chat, Benny. I think it's disabled in town meetings.
That's okay. Matt had sent an email to the WRC email earlier, so I can forward that to you, Benny. Yeah.
Also, Daniela has her hand up in the hand raise feature.
Yeah. Sorry. I would be interested in helping organize as well.
Benny, you can add me as a member of the public.
Okay, wait, now I have to write some names down. Hold on.
You can add me too. I came in late, but I'd like to help.
All right. All right. Anything else on this topic before we jump?
Charlene, you raised your hand in the Zoom. Is that to participate or to say something?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to help out too. And also, can I say something? Is it past the time where I can say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. This is, and I don't want to put, I don't know if it's Chief Scory or Officer Scory on the spot, but just one idea that I just thought of is, as far as the flags, I don't know if the police department maybe can come out with some clarification of the blue, like, I know there's the thin blue line and what that's supposed to support, but just some information about how the flag with the blue line has come to be co-opted by white supremacists. And just so, like, let's say somebody is using that flag and doesn't know that it's unwelcoming to people, or even if they do know it, so now it's kind of publicly out there that that's what it's standing for.
Can I add that that's a desecration of the flag? It's not an official flag. Am I correct? It has nothing to do with the United States. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's against flag code. It's not legal.
Yeah, yeah, you would get in trouble if you were someone that pays attention to those things for having it up to begin with. No? No.
Are you looking for my response on this?
Yeah.
So there are red line flags that support the fire. orange line flags that support the DPW. I've seen yellow line flags that support tow truck operators. There's blue line flags that were meant to support the police, and they were all created to support first responders. How our flag got hijacked, I don't know. But I can tell you that police officers have had a real difficult year. Between COVID, everything that's gone on, starting in Minnesota, police reform, there's been a very mentally taxing year for our police department and all police officers. When we look at that flag, we don't see it representing a white supremacist. We see it as our residents showing their support to the police. And officers need that right now. They need to know that people in this town support them. We come to work every day. We give it 100%. We're honest, we're fair. We treat everybody with respect. And when they drive around and they see a lawn sign that says we support law enforcement, or they see that flag, I think that they feel good knowing that the people in this town support them. They don't look at it as representing a white supremacist.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. Oh, Benny, go ahead.
So I don't know. I want to respond to that though with, if you know that it's hurting people, even if you feel good when you see it, if you know that it's hurting people, like, I don't know, what do you do about that? Especially when it's hurting people in your name.
Yeah. And I say this with utmost respect. I know that the police in this town work very hard. But I think it's pretty obvious to those of us who pay attention to those things that that's really not what people are supporting. And no disrespect, but many of us show up at our jobs, and COVID has been very hard on many professions. And unfortunately, and I know there are many good police, and we're very lucky to have the police we have in this town, but nationwide, the police are having a reckoning. And unfortunately, that's what needs to happen. And I know it's hard for the people that come to work every day and do the very best job they can. But when I see those flags, I see that as almost spiteful and almost against what some of us are trying to do here to have some unity. And I know that because I'm on those Facebook sites for the town that make it pretty obvious. And your flag did get co-opted. It got co-opted. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry.
So I do want to move on to other parts of our agenda, but I do also want to say that the conversations that are happening on Facebook, they can't just happen on Facebook. It is toxic. It is unproductive. I also want to say, with respect to something that I just think of so often with respect to the Wakefield Police Department, is back last June when I spoke with some of the women who had organized the rally. I said, after the rally, I had talked to them and I said, have any town officials reached out to you to talk about differences and improvements that we can make? And they said the Wakefield Police Department, they reached out to us. So that, I feel like, speaks volumes. And I thank you for that. And I thank you. And I want to make sure that I think we can all acknowledge this is an uncomfortable and difficult conversation. And I think we need to sit with our discomfort and make sure that we don't finish this conversation and feel like a wall has gone up between us. that we continue having these conversations, and there will be disagreements, but we keep talking through them, because we need to feel safe in our communities, regardless of who we are. And the police need to be able to function in a community for everyone to feel safe. And we can't do that if we have this wall up between us. So we need to keep talking. And I apologize that I'm now saying, and now we need to move on. But we do have other things to get to. So if people have any last comments to make, let's do that, and then let's continue with the meeting. Charlene, did you want to say anything?
I do. And this will be my last thing that I'll say about that flag. You know, before the flag, in my understanding, is a direct response to Black Lives Matter. And I think a lot of people use that flag to say that they're not in support of Black Lives Matter. And even if we don't have a sign that says we support the police, that doesn't mean that we don't support the police. And prior to Black Lives Matter protests, there really wasn't a need for signs to say that we support the police. So I guess that's all I have to say, is just I think there has to be, I guess I would encourage everybody to look into where it really came from and what message is being communicated, maybe not to you personally, but to other people. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to jump out of order a little bit and skip to number 6, just because we're on the topic of anti-racism actions. And I know that we have, I believe Nicole McLean is here from the North Shore Juneteenth Association. Am I correct in that? Okay. So just jumping down to item 6, and then the number 3 under item 6. Nicole, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Juneteenth celebration or observation? I apologize if I'm misspeaking.
Sure, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for inviting me, Maria. It's nice to be among the HRC in Wakefield. I wanted to just come on and talk about the flag for a minute. We've been in charge of raising the Juneteenth flag in Lynn for about 4 years now, since 2017. And we want to expand on that. So that's why we have been reaching out to different North Shore communities about the flag raising, and here to speak about raising the flag in Wakefield, hopefully close to Juneteenth or before or after, not on the actual day, if that makes sense. So we've sent out letters to different towns on the North Shore, and with hopes that they will be received with positivity, and that these other cities and towns would be willing to raise the Juneteenth flag, which represents African American freedom. On 1865, June 19th, the Emancipation Proclamation was finally heard of in Galveston, Texas. And that was 2 years after the actual Emancipation Proclamation was signed. These enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas did not know that they had gained their freedom, and they were told 2 years later. Upon hearing about that, they obviously rejoiced, but they still were not able to celebrate that freedom until about 2 years after that June 19th, 1865 date, because of various racial injustices that were happening during that time with them and their freedom. So everyone now celebrates June 19th, as far as African Americans go, as the holiday of freedom. And we want to amplify that and make sure that that's being celebrated on the North Shore as well. It's always celebrated in Boston, Mass. It's been celebrated in Boston, Mass for years, but on the North Shore, there's little known about it, and a lot of people don't even understand what it's about. And last year, 2020, it became a state holiday in Massachusetts. So where our organization would like to see it celebrated more widely on the North Shore, and that is one of our goals. So we would hope that Wakefield would take part in that this year.
Great, thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole Jacob, I know you're on the association. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just Nicole, the other Nicole works very hard, and it is a great organization. We have, I believe some of the meetings people can start attending, but we have a 5K coming up in August. So hopefully that information is going out and people will at least sign up for that and celebrate with us. And then we'll just wait until Maria or Steve Mayo says when the date is, and people will come and celebrate with us. I'm sorry, observe with us.
Yep. So unless anybody has any further discussion, do we have a motion to support raising the Juneteenth flag and including that with our flag proposal?
I make a motion to raise the Juneteenth flag and including it with our flag proposal to the town of Wakefield.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. Myself, I vote yes. Sherry?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Kim? Elizabeth? I got a thumbs up from Kim. Okay. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. So Nicole, if there, we already have a draft of a flag proposal to raise it, I believe, starting on June 17th. Is that correct, Benny?
I think so. It's the Thursday before, and then leave it up for a week.
For a week. And beyond raising the flag, if there are other events or any other kind of recognition of the Juneteenth holiday that you would like us to include or you want to let us know about, you can send us an email to our the WHRC email address. Yeah, we're happy to raise it and observe.
Oh, thank you so much. And do you guys have a time in mind? I know you said June 17th, but what time would you want to raise the flag?
Oh, I don't think we were that specific, at least in our draft. Is there a preference, or is it a ceremony that you would come and attend, or tell me a little more about that?
Okay, so for the ceremony itself, I believe I sent out an email. I don't know if you guys received the email of the document, but for the flag raising itself, we do provide, if you would like to do it in conjunction with us, like as a collaboration, we would provide a singer that sings the Black National Anthem as the flag is raised. We also would provide someone from North Shore Juneteenth Association to speak about Juneteenth and the organization itself. And we would also provide either a poet or a speaker that would just, speak a little bit more about racial justice and things like that. So there's three components that we can provide to the town of Wakefield. And also I can send you the link of where you could purchase the flag as well.
Okay.
So I can send you that document with that extra, that additional information as well.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for listening and for having us, and for having me. I know Nicole is here and representative of the HRC for Wakefield. So thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Maria,
hold on a second, Nicole. Thank you.
Can I just ask you something, Nicole, before you leave? So I am in contact with a few other HRCs in the area. Is it okay if they ask, or if it comes up in conversation, that I can pass your name along
Oh, absolutely.
to help them out. Specifically, I don't know if you've talked to anybody in Stoneham yet, but
No, I haven't spoken to anyone in Stoneham.
Okay,
No.
so maybe I'll just talk to him. I have a really good friend on their Human Rights Commission, so I'll just maybe mention it to him because I know they do the Juneteenth observation as well. So I just want to make sure they're in touch with you because it sounds like you guys are really, on top of it, and you can provide some really nice, like having the singer and everything else as part of the event, which is really nice. So
Yes,
I'll reach out to him and just pass along your name. And if I need contact info or whatever, I can get in touch with Nicole, Jacob, or Maria. So if that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Is this the kind of event that WCAT would record?
We could certainly ask them. Yeah. Yep.
They didn't do our pride flag raising last year, I don't think, but they did it 2 years prior, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I can certainly ask them if they would be willing to.
I'm thinking especially if we have the extra added observation of having a singer or a poet, it would be something certainly video worthy and should be out to the general public who can't necessarily gather in a group.
Can I ask maybe more of a procedural question on our end? Because I remember us talking about this at the last meeting, but we talked about, if we already have a permission for the pride flag to go up, would this be like an addition or at a different location, or would it swap out for the pride flag for a week? Did that get figured out, or is that in the proposal that you've written up?
So there were some conversations about, in terms of the flag policy, timing wise, flying any flag other than at the Civic Center would require a request to change the policy. And if we wanted, and that we have to get the request to fly the flag 30 days in advance. So if we want to do some advocacy around that about talking about the flagpole at Town Hall, we decided, Benny and I had talked about this. We're gonna wait until after June to have conversations with Town Council about that. For now, we have a draft of a flag proposal to fly the progress flag for starting at the June 1st to June 30th, with the exception of the week from June 17th to the 24th for the Juneteenth flag. So that's in, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so Nicole McLean, I will be in touch with you in terms of the details for the ceremony on the 17th. Does that sound all right?
That sounds perfect.
All right, great. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you
And
guys.
you're welcome
Have a
to
good
stay
night.
or jump off, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off, but thank you
Okay.
for having me.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So staying on item number 6, Faith is not here, and Yana is not here. So numbers 1 and 2, we'll skip those. For the active bystander training, I did hear back from the person that ran the training, the 2 previous trainings, and they do have availability the last couple weeks of May and into June. So I had reached out to the Boys and Girls Club, the Youth Council, and it sounded like there was some interest, but not enough to constitute a full solely youth focused training. So I think, given the fact that the person that does the trainings overall, she said those are really appropriate for anyone 12 years of age and up. So I think, unless anyone disagrees, I think the best thing would be to propose 1 or 2 additional trainings. And if there are members of the community, youth members of the community that want to participate in it, they are welcome to sign up. So I wanted to see what people thought in terms of how many we should have. I know there was some talk of doing them. Amy, I had seen your email, and I apologize that I didn't write back, but I saw that oh my God, Wave, blanking on the name, that Wave had agreed to co-sponsor one. We do still have money in our revolving budget right now, our revolving account to probably do one training. So if we wanted to do two and possibly HRC sponsors one and Wave sponsors another one, again, they're $400 per training for a total of 20 people maximum. Minimum for it to go forward is 10. So what are people's thoughts on these trainings?
I'm looking again at, since everyone is so maxed out, that this also could be part of our Pride Month. So I would say try early June and have this as part of our Pride Month commemoration, that we're offering a special program like this.
And I know that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know that it has to be held back on, I think if they have availability in May and we think we can publicize it. I mean, obviously with the Asian hate too, I think it's a good way to even join it with those efforts to say, stop Asian hate, here's how you can be a bystander, and or any types, obviously be a active bystander in anything that would happen. So I would just say, I don't think we should wait until June if we have the interest earlier, and we can pull it off.
And then with the previous two trainings, we did one on a Thursday night and one on a Saturday morning. The Thursday one was subscribed to, it filled up much faster than the Saturday morning one. And I know spring in particular is just such an insane time of year. So do you think we should do two Thursday nights as opposed to one on a weeknight and one on the weekend?
My only concern about doing 2 weeknights, if we are encouraging youth to sign up, is that weeknights can be really difficult for youth. And daytimes, I mean, weekends can too, of course, because they have whatever activities, but I'm just thinking about homework and bedtimes, knowing that if these are appropriate for kids 12 and up, some of those 12-year-olds still have a pretty early bedtime.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the weekend because things are opening up and the kids have all these sports. I don't know what to do about the youth part because it's true, it's late and the weekends, I don't know. Yeah. I want the kids to go, but I'm just wondering when is the best time, actually.
I can't remember what we did. They're 2 hours, right? So did we do 7 to 9 or like 6:30 to 8? Like I think a 6:30 to 8:30 would be doable for youngers. And I don't remember if they couldn't do it that early and that we had to start at 7 or not. And I would say if we are doing 2 weeknights, I wouldn't do them both on the same night because the people who have like standing Thursday night commitments then can't do either. So I would say pick 2 different weeknights, to spread that out and allow more people to have the option.
Okay. All right. Jeremy, you had your hand up.
I was going to say exactly what Jen just said, both points. I was going to ask how early in the day they can do them because, the kids are out of school at 3 o'clock if they don't have anything after school. And then this, again, with the weeknight, like if you did a Tuesday night, people have scouts every Tuesday night in my family, so Tuesday nights wouldn't work. So yeah, if you do weeknights, I would stagger them. So, but literally just what Jen was going to say. So
great minds. Okay.
As someone who runs organizations, I will tell you that Tuesday night is the most popular night for organizations to have meetings. So maybe Wednesday, Thursday, seriously. Everybody plans Tuesday night. So Wednesday or Thursday probably, and Thursday are generally a little lighter.
Thank you.
I also wonder, and this doesn't have, just as we think about promoting this event, we had the first one and we're like, hey, everyone sign up. There's 2 options to sign up for, right? And then people signed up for the first one that was available. And then I don't know if the second one, we definitely promoted it also. I don't know if we gave it as much figure in the fact that it was like a week and a half after the first one. So I think if we did them either more back to back, like Wednesday, Thursday at the same week, I don't know if we would see that same drop off. And I guess we don't know why people signed up less on the Saturday morning, right? Was it because it was Saturday, or was it because it was like a way further out? We advertised it too early and we didn't follow up as well. So just throwing that out as a potential option, and to not just necessarily discourage the weekends, but also thinking about how far apart we schedule them, because that might impact the signups for the second event, whatever date that's on.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, do you feel like more people would be likely to sign up if we had them close together, or the opposite?
I just think our marketing efforts are better if they're closer together, because then we're not trying to re-promote an event a week and a half after the first one.
Right.
So just to add on to that, when you advertised them last time, did you advertise one and have it fill up and then do the second one? Because if people's schedules are already set, if they know there's two options, they might be more willing to sign up as well. So if you publicize it together and say this date or this date, then people can figure out what fits their schedule better and plan too. So
yeah, we did do them at the same date, but say that we had two options. But then I think the way Facebook were, like, I don't know, we posted the event, and I think one event got more traction, and once you see other people signing up for your event, then all of a sudden that becomes the more popular one. So
okay. All right, so why don't I'll reach back out to them and see what their availability is in terms of dates close together, and that may be kind of what determines if we do a weeknight and a weekend, or two staggered weeknights pretty close in scheduling to each other. So I'll report back to everyone. In terms of paying for it, we do need to take a vote, and then Amy, Wave is comfortable. Are they comfortable sponsoring a whole training?
They are. They committed to $400.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so do I have a vote for one of our trainings to be sponsored from the revolving account and paid for from the revolving account from the HRC?
So can I just clarify one thing before? So Amy, are they committed no matter what the dates, right? They're just committed to contributing with us?
Yep. Yeah, they don't need to be part of the planning, just put on by WHRC and Wave together, and that's all that they're asking for. You can plan, without including them in the actual details, other than it's sponsored by both.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's going to say the same thing.
In that case, if they're both are co-sponsored, then we can split our $400 between the two, because we're going to get $400 from them, correct?
Right, but each training is $400, so this would be it would be a total of $800. Yeah.
Okay. I do like the idea of not saying like this one is sponsored by.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah,
like they're both co-sponsored by. Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that like we were splitting the payments half and half. But yes, no, this will be definitely publicized as a joint event. Okay. So in terms of our payment, I guess to clarify the motion, do we have a motion to put $400 towards a joint training from a joint active bystander training between HRC and Wave?
So
moved.
Okay.
Seconded then. Whoever.
So, all right. Myself, I vote yes. Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay. You've changed in order. So Sherry?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Amy? You froze for a second, Amy.
You'll have to raise your thumbs up because we're not hearing you.
Oh, me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay. All The next item on the agenda, the Hate Has No Home Here signs. So we got contacted, especially after the events on a week ago, last Sunday, of a couple people looking for Hate Has No Home Here signs. And I believe, Jen, can you tell us how many we still have?
I think I have 3 or 4.
Okay.
Max. Not a lot.
So, all right. And I had reached out to Dan Lieber in response to some of the requests, just to see what the process, I wasn't involved with the last time of us ordering them to get the details. What Dan told me is that we can order in batches of a minimum of 100, and we get them and sell them for $5. And I also reached out to Steve Mayo and the town accountant just to figure out the process now that we used to have a bank account in our name, and just for, as I reported in earlier meetings, just for ease of transactions and everything like that. We now we have a revolving account and a budget line item through the town account. And so it is possible to still continue what we were doing in ordering the signs and then selling them at cost, and then we would deposit the money back into the revolving account. So this is absolutely not something that we have to do. People can certainly order signs from wherever they want, but I wanted to see what people's interest was in the HRC ordering signs.
I think it should be our responsibility as the body that we are to be providing signs with that message.
I mean, obviously we're not doing live events lately, but when we did have live events, it was always nice to have signs there for people could just take right as they went. So, you know, as somebody who tried to buy a sign on my own, it was like $20 plus $10 shipping or something like that. So the fact that we provide them at cost for $5 right here in town, I think is a good benefit for people.
And just for some of the newer members, just as background, we sold them we were at the farmer's market, we were at Festival by the Lake, we were at Festival Italia, any of the big town events.
Wakefield 101, we had
Wakefield 101, we had a table at all of those events, and we would have the signs there available to sell. So they did go we always sold them at any event that we were at. So yeah, just to give you a little background on that.
Yeah,
I would be willing to staff a sales table, you know, at specific times so people can come by and buy signs.
Thanks.
I also, do we have any, maybe this is like not possible, can we like have a Venmo account or something, like so people can, especially since we're not in person anywhere much, unless Sherry were to do something like that, a way for people to buy them from us, you know.
They still have to pick them up. That's why I said I'd be happy to sit by a table with a little strong box and collect the $5 and hand out signs.
Yeah, my inclination is that we cannot have a Venmo account, but I'm happy to check with the town accountant about that to see if there's any possibility of like electronic payment. But again, to get the physical sign to them, we have to, they either need to come to us or we need to deliver it to them. So, so yeah, I will look into that.
So farmers market should be starting soon too, so we'd be able to maybe get a table there, right? Will
What's starting again? Oh, the farmers market
in June.
Yes.
Don't they start in June?
I think so. I'm not sure what, I know last season there were no tables for any community groups or anything like that. It was just like the farmers tables. I don't know. I haven't heard anything in terms of what their plans are this year. But I will, yeah, I can
ask him. I'll ask too and get back.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
So Maria, it sounds like everybody's on board with getting more signs.
Okay.
So I think it's great because I was really proud when you read the letter from the HRC as a response to the protests in town or demonstration, and really proud that both the school committee and the town council also reaffirmed it. But I think definitely we should be the ones that are promoting it and being the body behind it, because that's, you know, that's what we are, that's what we do as a commission, right? So and like Jen said, to get them at $5 is like, you know, it's a bonus. So
Right.
Come by the library patio and I'll be there. Right on Main
Great idea.
Street.
Yeah. Okay. So because this would be money that would be coming from our revolving account, we need to have a vote on it. So do I have a motion to order 100 signs in the amount of $500 for the purposes of selling to community members?
I move we buy a batch of 100 signs for the purpose of selling to community members.
Okay.
And
Do
recouping
I have a
that money.
second?
Second.
All right. Myself, I vote yes. Jeremy,
yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Benny,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
and Amy.
Yes.
Did we ever figure out storage? That's a separate topic.
Still working on it. Physical storage. I have updates on electric storage, but
Okay.
electronic storage, but yeah, we're getting there.
These days, I hardly use my office. You're welcome to leave them in there.
Oh,
It's
thank
up at
you.
Lakeside Office Park.
Mhm.
I might need to do a transfer of all the boxes in my basement.
Yeah, you're gonna have so many buckets full of flags and
No, just it has no home care
Ah.
signs. I don't have enough room for everything. But those, I'd be happy to store those and be the person who can distribute them if someone else is selling them or whatever.
Yeah, and I know that Amy said that she has merchandise or swag from Pride Month. Is that right? Yes. Okay. And Jen has
I
stuff.
do. We have about 30.
Well, you froze, Amy.
Yeah, we have 36 of the Philly Pride flags left and a huge bag full of buttons left.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I will connect with you and Jen so we can figure out, and Sherry, so we can figure out like a central place while we're working on the physical storage question. Okay. The sixth one, I don't know if anybody, I know Nicole Jacob had forwarded me an email in terms of the Wayland Public Library with the Wayland Human Rights Commission had done a presentation last week. It's not, last time I checked, it was not yet available, but when it is available, I'm happy to send it to you. This was a presentation, it was kind of a dual presentation. First, someone spoke from the Wayland Human Rights Commission about something that I just thought was a phenomenal idea and something to think about in kind of our ongoing actions around anti-racism. They did something called the Lived Experiences Survey. And it was an anonymous survey, and they actually got this idea from the Needham Human Rights Commission. So lots of ideas getting passed along. It's an anonymous survey where they had members of the community, either electronically or hard copy, if they didn't have access to the internet, filled it out. And it basically was talking about experiences that community members wanted to share where they felt that they had been discriminated against on any number of grounds, whether it was race, religion, ethnic background, sexual orientation, gender, across the board. And what they did is they took the results and they are using them not just to share them with the rest of the community in a safe way that the people who had been harmed by these acts of discrimination didn't feel exposed because it was an anonymous survey, but they wanted the community to understand that these are incidents that happen on an ongoing basis in their community. And then they're also using these numbers to affect change about where are these events occurring? Are they happening in schools? Are they happening in town offices? Are they happening between neighbors, and based on what they're seeing, they're starting to have conversations about how they can affect change and make a more targeted approach in addressing these acts of discrimination. And I just thought it was an amazing program, because I feel like stories are how people's minds are changed. Hearing someone's personal story, I feel like, goes so much farther than reading statistics and seeing numbers. And to be able to have people feel safe in telling their stories without being identified, I feel like it empowers them to be able to come forward with their story. So it's not something that I think that we need to take a vote on or start. I really would love for everyone to be able to see what it's all about before having further conversations about it. So as soon as it is available, I'll send it out to everyone, but I just thought it was a great, another option to possibly pursue. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. And the second part of the presentation was, she was actually my law school professor from Northeastern, Martha Davis, who has a long history of working on human rights issues, both on an international, national, and local level, talking about the value of human rights commissions. And I know there were people from other towns who are looking to start a human rights commission that don't have one yet. And there were others like Wakefield and Melrose and a few other communities that were just looking for more ideas of ways that we can affect change and take positive action. So it really was a phenomenal presentation. So if anybody wants to, is interested in taking a look at it, I will send that along. Okay. All right. So now we will jump back up to the top. So in terms of approval of minutes from our March 16th, 2021 general meeting, do I have a motion? Has everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes, and does anyone have any edits that they would like to make? All right, if not, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Myself, I vote yes. Jeremy?
Are we allowed to vote if we weren't there?
Oh, I didn't realize you weren't. This is for the general meeting last month.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sherry?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. And now to the subcommittee minutes for the International Women's Day Subcommittee of March 24th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Teresa and Nicole. Sorry, we lost Kim. Oh, okay, Kim texted. She said she had to go and do end of semester student meetings. Okay. All right. So we have a second, and for the three of us that were at the meetings, myself, yes. Nicole.
Yes.
And Teresa.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And for the communications subcommittee for the minutes of April 7th, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Jen, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. And
It's just the two of us. 'cause
it's
Kim's
just
not
the
here.
two of you. So
And actually, Kim pre-approved before we even send it to you.
okay. All right. Thank you both. All right. For the subcommittee updates, Teresa, do you want to give the final kind of wrap up for the International Women's Day?
Sure. It was definitely an experience. I thought it went really well. I mean, Kim really had a lot of work on her hands, and I think at the last few weeks, I think she really felt it. I think we got a lot of interest from the community, which I thought it was awesome. I think the videos came out really great. They are going to be available on our website, and I don't know. I mean, I thought it was really like, it was a fun project. It was really good to hear like some positives, like things that are happening in our community, and just to hear the stories and from everybody, including our own member here. So I thought it was really cool. I don't know if Nicole or have anything else to add.
Yep, other people from the community told me how they thought it was so good. They didn't know that certain businesses existed in town, and they were glad to hear that. And they were really glad that we were able to celebrate women that last month that way. So I got nothing but good reports. And I loved it too.
As someone who was interviewed, I have to say Kim did a really great job of doing the editing.
Yeah, she really has a gift for this, and she loves it. I don't know that she loved to do it in such
21 times in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, she really did a phenomenal job. And yeah, for those of you, if you haven't seen it, Sherry, Colleen, Julie, Amy, they were all interviewed, as well as a number of other business owners in town. And I do love how with the Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King program, and with this program, we really have made it such a local focus. And I think people are drawn in by that. So I think that's a great thing to keep in mind for future events. So yeah, thank you. And thank you, Teresa, for all the work that you did, and Nicole. Yeah, definitely a successful event.
We had a volunteer from the community too. She's not here today, but.
Oh, that's right, Eileen. Yep.
Yeah, she's very helpful.
Yeah. All right, so communications, do you, for your updates, who's up?
I wish Kim were here because so much of what we've been working on has to do with the framework for putting together a master guidebook for how to promote meetings. And we did share that document with you. And our goal is to put it in a format that's more easily usable, like columns, so you can see things quite easily and then check off things. So it's still a work in progress, but as you can see from what Kim did, she did quite a lot of work. But what we do need from you, and we asked the last time as well, is we need you to share the names and contact information for resources you used in order to promote your programs. Because we don't know who all those people might be, and they may not even be in the town of Wakefield. So please do share those resources with Kim. Very, very important. And that way we can, in her last, well, she'll still, but that she had, am I muted or can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay. She will continue to work on it through this next few weeks, but after that, her attention might be divided because she's not officially a commissioner. So please share those resources. On the calendar, again, the purpose of the calendar was information awareness. We were not suggesting that anyone should celebrate any of these things in any particular way. We just wanted them to be aware of all the different kinds of commemorations and observations there are. So I was also had asked for input after the last meeting, and I haven't gotten any. But I just wanted to reiterate that this was in no way suggesting that we in any way appropriate or assume or give people instructions on how to do things. It's just a matter of saying, in this particular month, these are the different groups and these are the different things that are commemorated and observed. So still waiting for some feedback, more feedback, because we seem to be at a standstill. And this was just something we were going to post for the interest of the commission and the public. And of course, for the commission, it also might be helpful in terms of making sure that we don't have, as was pointed out the last time, conflicts and when we commemorate or observe things. So input is appreciated. I'll still be on this committee. I'm hoping that there'll be a couple of new people on and that I can keep Jen and Kim in the background working with me. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Jen because she's been working on the third component, which is a history. Because we don't have one and we don't want to lose it before, too long.
We put a brief history in our onboarding training that we had put together, but as I was looking at other HRCs around the state, and even Maria, I just Googled Wayland HRC because after you said that, and they have like a history on their front page, and they only were recently formed, but it's like how we were formed and this sort of information. So I kind of created a narrative with our history of how we were formed and who brought us together, and how many, some of it is very logistical, like we had X number of people in the beginning and then we voted to add more people on this date, just so we can have that documented on our town website. And something that we talked about at our last subcommittee meeting was making that more visual and more like along a timeline, right? So we could still have like a narrative for people who want to read it, but then maybe there's some sort of interactive timeline element that's like founded on this date, added people this date, did our first MLK thing on this date, did our first Women's Month this date. So it's less history of us as a body and how we were made up, but also the things we've done. 2019 was our first Pride Month where we raised the Pride flag. So that could be like a point on the timeline. So we want to make it a little more interactive and visual in terms of like a continuum of a timeline. So that's still to come. But we do have that sort of more like narrative of us as a body in town, mostly ready and out for review, I think. But we just know that that's not the end of what we want to do. We want to create a timeline as well.
And the timeline is like the milestone timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Not every single thing we've ever done, but like the first of this, the first of that, the first time we celebrated this. Yeah.
One side of it can be the operations type of thing, and the other side of it could be the events, the observations,
right.
the
outputs.
Outputs. And you actually have a third thing you're working on as part of this history.
Oh, right. And then I've got a history of our of who served as commissioners from when we started. So that took a little more digging than I expected, just because of turnover of people moving or so anyway, we didn't have all that data. We had to go mine it from several, old meeting minutes and things like that. But I've got a draft of that, of who served in which years, to put together. And I don't think we didn't envision that as being something that would necessarily be like on our front facing website, but more, as we've talked about many times, having sort of our own digital archives of things we've done, to kind of keep that running list of commissioners who have served on our HRC, just in case there was ever something we needed to go back to or have a list. I mean, it certainly could be on the website as well, just like here's everyone who's ever served on the HRC, but I don't think that is super interesting to the public. Maybe it is. But once that's all finalized and approved, I think there was just a couple dates that I wasn't sure of, when like the first clergy member came on board or something like that. We were just verifying certain dates, but that's pretty much ready as well. Pretty close.
We figure that if we don't start now, this is year 5 for the commission, we'll definitely lose this information, and it's very important to have your history. And
it'll make it easier to add on to if we already have the structure of where things are. Then every time we turn over commissioners, we can just add the new ones right to that same list. So it's easier than recreating 5 years in.
Yeah, and we're not thinking of history as only being past. We're thinking of it as evolutionary, cumulative, and I think it's. And people might be interested in seeing the list. We might just give them a link and say, would you like, if you want to see who has served, click on this link, and they can go in and see an attached document, rather than have just a long laundry list on our website, because that wouldn't be interesting at all. But some people might be interested. So this is the work that the Communications Committee has been doing. Some of it very operational, some of it informational, and some of it archival.
Well, thank you for all of that work, because I know it's been a tremendous effort. I'm wondering if it would help to have some deadlines so that just saying, send us this information about X, Y, or Z. At some point, you know, people are like, oh, I'll get around to it, or stuff like that. So kind of going backwards. Jen, why don't you and I agree to kind of collaborate and fill in the missing stuff on the history?
Yep.
I know I have the document from you about the different members, and I've started looking into it, but I haven't filled anything in yet.
Yeah.
So why don't we plan that by the next meeting? It's not anything that we need to vote on. It's basically stuff that we need to get to Jen McDonald to post on the webpage. But I will commit by next month's meeting. I know you won't be here, but just to hold myself accountable. But by next month's meeting, to get the information, fill in all of that with you, so that it can go up on the website. And Jen McDonald has always been incredibly responsive and quick to post things when we send them to her. So I will commit to working on that. And could we say for the other members, for anyone that has been involved in planning any kind of event, to get the names, either the names of contacts that you've worked with? Do we want to? I know that Kim is this would have been her last meeting, so if you, her address, her email address, her personal email address is still the same, and I know that she said she was she was happy to continue volunteering. So unless that changes, let's continue to send any of those contacts to her, and then in terms of the calendar, get that to her as well.
The calendar you can send to me.
The calendar we can send to you. I apologize.
Yeah, and it would be appreciated if you give yourself like a 2-week deadline on getting the resources to her, just so you'd have some impetus so that she does get this input, because that is the only piece of what we're doing that is sort of more time sensitive, because it will be helpful to people going forward.
Okay, so between now and 2 weeks from today, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't have a calendar. I don't have a calendar to give you an exact date.
May 4th.
May 4th.
May the 4th be with
Yeah.
you.
All right. Okay. Anything else on that? All right. Okay, so moving on for the upcoming months of recognition, I know that Sherry and Benny were starting to talk about Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Do you have any updates for us about that?
We have one really exciting thing that's been approved, and we're working on a whole bunch of other things too. We're trying to make this, we're trying to go beyond book readings. And one of the reasons we decided to go beyond book readings is this community is so vast and diverse. It would be very hard to do something that felt very inclusive. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do samplings of things, but one of the big things we're going to do, and I got approval from Steve Mayo, is we are going to hang a very large map of all of Asia in the vestibule of the town hall with push pins. So if your family comes from a country, you can put a certain color push pin in that country. If you have visited one of the countries, you can also participate and put a push pin in. So people can, because I think people don't look at maps often enough, and they can see the broad range and diversity of the places that people might come from, and places people have visited as well. So we wanted, it's sort of an educational, informative part, but we're also doing some cultural things, and I'll let Benny speak to a little bit of that.
So speaking of communications committee, like I will tell you that we get a really good response from contacting the principals of the different schools. So they send it out in the newsletter to their students, you know. So we put out this kind of call for collaborators to join us in planning this event, and we got a bunch of interest. So there's like 4 or 5 members of the community that we found either through that or through other people who are meeting with us to help plan, which is totally fun. So some ideas that have come up are things like a dance performance, which one of the members used to be part of a Chinese American Arts Association that did dances, and she got permission for one of their dances to be like shown as part of our commemoration. So dance performances, maybe music, Still possibly book readings as just one component, like maybe a cooking lesson for that you could do with your family, or like a talk about cooking and food. Crafts, like a little crafts activity. So these would all be virtual events. We had some talk about in person, like one of the people who's helping us plan has taught like simple dances to students at the Galvin in the past, like at a cultural day event that they had there. So she was saying she could teach people if we had like an outdoor event on the common. So we had some back and forth about that. I think it's still kind of up in the air, but mostly I think what we're planning is virtual activities that people can, access at their leisure.
And Steve also is looking into, if we wanted to do 2 maps, we can also have one possibly at the AmeriCollege or the Boys and Girls Club. But we just, we're trying to, again, be as inclusive, and which is very difficult in this particular case, because even from individual countries, there are so many different ethnicities, even within a particular country. So, and we contacted various business owners in town who might be able to help us out as well. One of the things we talked about, but we weren't sure we could pull off because, for one thing, people might be hesitant, was interviewing people, asking just people to talk about their particular stories, whether it's their story of how they came to be part of Wakefield, or how even their family might have come to the United States, and what it means to be now part of this community. But again, people might be a little hesitant because they might feel exposed if they did that. So we're not sure if that will work. Plus, we need Kim to do the editing, if that's the case. So, but we have these fabulous, I have to call them the team of moms, who are very enthusiastic and have all kinds of great ideas.
I know it was so exciting to get those emails through the WHRC account to say, I saw this in the school's newsletter. I would love to be a part of it. I just loved being able to write back to them and say, thank you. We're so excited to have you on board. And yeah, it was a great feeling. And it was great to see people wanting to be part of this and wanting to make an informed observation and celebration.
And they've even volunteered their children to do the readings. So
I'm sure their kids are thrilled.
Actually, some of their kids, they said, are very dramatic and they like doing that kind of thing.
Good.
So.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you for all the work that you're doing on this. And for Pride Month, I wanted to follow up with people that I looked up the cost of the progress flag, and let me just check my notes. I believe, okay, so the flag, if we wanted to order the progress flag, it's $21 plus $5 shipping on Flags for Good. So if
I move we buy a flag. For $25.
Okay, taking a quote on that.
Sorry, I jumped the gun, but I when you said, I was like, oh, I thought it might be in the hundreds. So that's.
Yeah, no, that seemed, and I think it was, I didn't write down the dimensions, but I think it's 5 feet by 5 by 3, something like that. So, okay, so did we have a second? I'm sorry.
I second.
Okay, and I vote yes. Jeremy?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that was Sherry, not Jeremy.
Sorry.
I vote yes.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
All right.
I have a question.
Yep.
Do I need a vote to spend money to make an enlarged map and buy push pins and have the map mounted on coroplast so it's something that it can stick through to?
If it's something, so right now we have exceeded our line item budget. So any money that I guess if you're planning to ask for a reimbursement, then yes, we would need to vote
Oh,
on it.
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I have to get pricing for you then. I'll go and get pricing for you.
Okay, yeah, if you,
So the only thing about that is that the next HRC meeting is not going to be until the middle of May.
Oh.
So we need it before then.
So
I'm fine buying the thing, and if we don't have money to reimburse it, you know, that's my donation to the HRC.
Benny, I know to do the enlargement big enough and mount it on coroplast, even at Staples, is going to be $50 at least, and that's more than someone should just make a donation.
Well, I get to choose what donation I make, not you.
Oh, okay. It's a higher donation.
Question, is there a place that you can actually make a donation to the committee? Commission?
we're not, as a town body, we are not, we don't solicit for donations. So that's, I would need to follow up with somebody about that, because there certainly have been times in the past where, for example, at the farmer's market, when we're selling the "Hate Has No Home Here" signs, somebody will hand us 10 and say, please, I don't want the change. And like, they've walked away before we can even give them the change. So we've received donations that we have not asked for, unsolicited donations. And if we got a totally unexpected, unsolicited, sizable donation last year. So it's certainly not prohibited, but I just want to make sure that it's clear that we are not soliciting donations at all. So that is entirely up to you.
Where is a way I can give a, whatever it's called, donation that you'd had nothing to do with?
Right. Well, we would have to have something to do with it, because we would have to accept it, but we would have to go in front of town council and ask that they allow that the donation be directed to the Human Rights Commission and not to the general town fund. But
so one would, for example, make a check out to the town of Wakefield.
Julie Smith Galvin is nodding yes.
Okay, and then in the memo, right?
I think you can make it out to the town and in the memo say this is a donation to be directed to the Human Rights Commission. And then it would just have to be accepted with thanks as a donation by the town council, and then the Human Rights can use it.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Gina, for your question. Okay.
Can we vote to say like we authorize to spend up to something amount, and then we will like verify the actual amount at the next meeting or something like that? Is that something we can do?
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yep. So is that your motion, Jen?
Well, I guess I don't. So can we say I move that we authorize Sherry to spend up to $75 on the creation of a map for town hall of the Asia countries and pushpins, to be voted on definitively at the next meeting once we have the actual budget. I don't know. I don't know what I'm moving. Yeah, up to $75 to spend.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay. All right, thank you. So going in order, myself, I vote yes. Benny?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes, thank you.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that. In terms of Pride Month, so beyond the flag, do we want to wait until, I feel like if we wait until next month to put together a subcommittee, it's going to be too late. Though we have a lot of things going on right now. So I want to say, before anyone volunteers for the Pride subcommittee, please keep in mind not to spread yourself too thin. Like we want to celebrate and acknowledge all of these months, but I don't want people burning out in 3 weeks. We need to have everyone in this for the long haul. So whatever we want to do for Pride, just bear in mind that we have a lot of other things going on. And so while it is absolutely important that we celebrate that month, just keep your time management and your sanity in, only do what you can do. That I think that's what I'm trying to say. So, but I do think that we need a subcommittee for Pride. And do we have volunteers for that?
When are our new people going to be coming in?
They will, fingers crossed, they will be joining next month. And I'll have more updates on that in a couple minutes.
Okay, maybe unofficially, one of them would like to be part of that as their first feet first in activity.
And this is also something we did as part of the outreach for AAPI Heritage Month. We also had reached out for Pride Month, and we did have one member of the community contact me and say that they wanted to be involved. So, and we can send that kind of request from the public again to see if there are other people that want to get involved. So this is not something we need to do on our own either.
I've got a group of people too who are interested in more queer community stuff happening in Wakefield who I can reach out to directly.
That would be great. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And I'm interested in that subcommittee.
Okay. Okay. So for now, Elizabeth, you're not going to be running it alone, given your group of people and given the other member of the community that I will put you in touch with. So for now, let's, unless anybody wants to join right now for the subcommittee, we can also open it up to the new members next month as well to see if anyone wants to join. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Daniela has her hand up also.
Oh, I'm sorry, Daniela. Sorry, I didn't see that.
No worries. I just don't know because like there's a public comment section and then there's like parts of this meeting where we can join in. So I wouldn't mind being part of that as well. If that is possible.
All right.
So many rules.
Sounds good. I have your name down. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right, I know we're approaching the 2-hour mark, so I'm gonna keep the next couple things as brief as possible. Jeremy and I just wanted to update people in terms of the networking with the other HRCs. So I had reached out to North Reading, Linfield, Reading, and Melrose. And everyone is very enthusiastically in support of this. So there's a broader kind of statewide coalition, the Massachusetts Human Rights Council, which is human rights commissions, diversity, equity, inclusion groups, everyone kind of like-minded. They don't have to be town bodies. So that is statewide. And this is not to supersede that organization. But we were looking for something with kind of a more local focus to collaborate, share ideas, different things like that. So everyone was very enthusiastically in support of this. The person that I spoke with from Reading, so Reading has a couple different groups. And they seemed very much on board with this. They do have a big town meeting vote coming up next week. So she had asked if we could just wait until early May. So I think that's what we're going to do in terms of networking with all of the commissions and have a meeting that hopefully Jeremy and I can both attend. I know Jeremy's been in touch with Stoneham. And just talk about kind of, it can be formal, it can be an informal network. We're kind of trying to figure out what works best for everyone. But yeah, it just seemed like more and more we were all siloed in our own towns and not really talking to each other. And there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of overlapping interests and overlapping events that we can share with each other and ideas we can collaborate on. So Jeremy, did you want to add anything else?
I think the only other thing is just, we did have someone reach out from Stoneham directly about a real life scenario that came up in Stoneham that we were able to provide through Maria's experience on the commission that, what we've done here in Wakefield, it's basically around, we are an open meeting forum and how do people remain kind of like protected if they bring a complaint forward or something. So, Maria fed me back info, which I passed along about how we have a form and then we act as an advocate, but we also work with town council and with Steve Mayo on, how to keep it safe for everybody, but still be productive and a good process. So does that kind of sum it up, Maria?
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
And I also invited them to be part of that. I let them know that we are in discussions with the other towns and sort of the timeline that Maria had fed back to me before the meeting about after the votes and stuff. So I'm pretty sure Stoneham would be on board with all of that going forward as well. So.
All right. Any other questions about that? So we will have more of a follow-up next month once we meet with all of the area HRCs.
Which towns was it, Maria?
Stoneham, Melrose, Reading, North Reading, Linfield.
Ah, great.
And okay.
Did you say Winchester as well?
I did not say Winchester. I know that they have the Network for Social Justice. So I'm not opposed to reaching out to them. They just weren't, yeah, no particular reason.
It makes sense that it's the towns that our borders touch.
Right, right.
Does Saugus have an HRC? I don't think they do they?
Not that I'm aware of, no. No. So for the next part, in terms of the WHRC application recommendation follow-up. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware. So at the request of Steve Mayo and the town council chair, they are the two of them and I are working on creating a document that lays out the purpose, powers, and duties of the Human Rights Commission. This is something that they are working on for all boards, not just the HRC. And kind of as a starting point, since we already had these policies and procedures in place, they're using that as a springboard to start that. And there's been a couple small proposed changes to have 11 voting members, 9 of which are appointed by the town council, 2 of which are the clergy and the student positions. And to convert the police position to a liaison position. So if that does go through, because 4 are up for appointment or reappointment, we would need an additional voting member to fill the voting member position by the police position. So we had 1 additional applicant that had submitted her name with the prior applications. Let me just find her name, I'm sorry. It was Lindsay Aberbrook, who had submitted her application. I haven't spoken with her, but her letter demonstrated a strong interest in, I know that she has a mental health background. I know that she has followed some of our work in the past. She has a clear understanding of what we do. I am very comfortable passing along that additional recommendation, but I wanted to make sure that everyone was okay with that. Okay.
So to clarify, we would just say that all 5 of the applicants would then get appointed.
There was one student applicant, but I think
Right.
there was a misunderstanding in terms of that the student applicant goes to the superintendent's office. Yeah. Yep. So 6 applicants, but taking out the student applicant, I think all 5 we would send along. I already had sent the 4 that we discussed at last month's meeting to Anne and Sherry Dalton, Anne Santos and Sherry Dalton, and I'll send this additional name if everyone's okay with that.
Do we continue to have liaisons from the school committee and from the town council?
Yes, as far as I know, I think it's really important that we continue, even if it changes to not having members appointed by the school committee. I still think that that is an essential connection that we should continue to have. And Colleen, if you want to weigh in or say anything about that, please feel free to. But I have already said this to Steve Mayo and Anne and Amy Purcell that I absolutely think that we should continue to have a liaison from the school committee.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Maria. I had emailed Anne and Amy both sort of to understand the appointment process a little clearer. based on, sort of what we struggled with last fall and going forward. And I also made it a point to say that if the appointment was taken from the school committee as it is now, that we absolutely need to have a liaison. And just having served on here for a short number of months, not served, but served as a school committee member, as a liaison to your commission. It's been a short time, and I think it's absolutely, I mean, there's so many connections and, events that that you host, that we join in on as a district, not only voluntarily, of course, with parents and students, but as administrators of the district as well. So I will continue to advocate for that, and I want to continue to join the meetings, of course, as a public, a member of the public, but I will advocate for that as absolutely. And that there's no transition time, when after election, that there's no sort of lag of a few months where we tend to this again, as my term is ending next week. So thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
And not only has Colleen's help and viewpoints been invaluable, but I think also having someone from the town council at our meetings has been invaluable.
Yep, I absolutely agree. I think it's great to have liaisons from school committee, town council, youth council, and if things go, depending on what the town council decides next Monday, having a police liaison as well is really important. And if Amy continues in that role, we would love to have her. And related to the school, I forgot to mention this, and this is for people working on the AAPI Heritage Month and Pride Month. I met with the diversity leaders at the high school with Jason Pavey and Margaret Messier. They're the two faculty advisors to the diversity leaders. And they said that I think the majority of their students, if not all of them, are seniors, and they are done with their classes towards the end of May. So they said if we needed more volunteers, that they might have some availability to help with either of those, any events in either of those months. So things to keep in mind for more volunteers. Sorry, I had forgotten that.
That's another resource that we have to provide to Kim, that the high school has diversity leaders. I wasn't aware of that.
Yep.
Maria, do we need a vote to recommend that fifth applicant?
Yes, I think we should.
And I remember when we looked over them all, I thought everyone was very qualified, so I don't have a problem with recommending that person. As long as, in terms of the procedure, we can just use that same pool, or do we need to go out and re-advertise? That's just a question that I would have. But
right, I don't think that we need to, because appointments haven't been filled yet, and she submitted her application in by the deadline. So yeah, I don't think it should be. I don't foresee it being an issue.
Then I move that we recommend the fifth applicant to the town council.
All right, and yep, Lindsay Averbrook, and yeah, I
second.
All right, and I vote in support of that.
Can I clarify on that motion? Are we specifying that this is in the event that we need an additional position, not that we are recommending all five and they're just going to pick four?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that, like,
clarification. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Should the town council require an extra voting member, I move that we recommend the Lindsay as the fifth recommendation from our body.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. All right. For myself, I vote yes. Benny?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was like, who's Ben?
I know,
It's getting late.
We're getting loopy. Teresa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Amy?
I stepped away for a moment for a bedtime routine. Can you remind me of what I'm voting on right now?
This is in the event that your position is converted to a liaison position, we would need an additional voting member. We're asking town council to create an additional voting member. And so we were looking back at the pool of applicants.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
I came in for part of it. So, okay, yes, I'm in agreement. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry. I didn't know how much you had missed. All right. Okay. And then the central electronic storage for the HRC documents. So we have finally made progress here. We have something, it's similar to Google Drive, but it's Microsoft SharePoint. I will pass along information. I'll go over it kind of in finer detail next month. I feel like to open up that right now, people are gonna like, yeah, close their computers basically. But it is very similar to Google Drive, where you can set up folders. The thing that when I had first asked about this, I had talked to Tom Mullen, the town council, about it, town council, and he had said, just to be clear, that these documents that are put on this are not, it's not that we can go back and edit them. This is really for archival purposes only, because any editing of documents obviously needs to be done in an open meeting. So this is something that we can keep, for example, the flyers or the programs for the past 5 years of International Women's Day or the Martin Luther King event, archival things, so that future members can go back and open this up and say, oh, okay, this is who the guests were, this is who the awardees were, different things like that. We can also include our minutes and agendas, although those are also kept on the town website as well. So, so yes, I'm happy to answer any questions, but Jen, go ahead.
So for things like our archival list of past commissioners, right? So as obviously new people come on, that would need to be edited. So I just want to clarify, when we say things can be edited, I mean, I guess we could say commissioners as of X date and then create a new document, or like save as commissioners as of X date and keep that. But that doesn't mean that we can't edit things that are there and save as, right?
Right. I think my understanding from the probably half an hour that I spent looking through it is you say they do a version history. So
right.
The version, and then the next version that you need to add more information to, you do that, but it still keeps the prior version. So it's not, you're not changing the actual document.
Right. And it just wouldn't be like it would be where final versions for that time rest, not in like active
right
editing mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't you also delete older files and then just post the new one?
But that's what we can't do. I don't think, and again, these are detailed questions that we will definitely need to work out and send all of our questions to IT, and also to double check them with Tom Mullen, just to make sure that we are complying with open meeting laws and other restrictions, to make sure that we are just, I'm talking in circles, that we're complying with everything that we need to be complying with. So again, probably at next meeting, I'll go through in more detail. I may share it. I will likely share it prior to that so that people can take a look at it and ask questions. I mean, I am not the tech expert, so there may be questions that have not even occurred to me that people with more technological expertise will want to ask. So yeah, and we can send whatever questions to IT and get more answers and clarification around that. But we are making progress on that, so that's good. All right. For matters not anticipated, I think the only thing that I want to say is thank you to Jen and to Kim, even though she's not here, and even though she was only on the commission for a few months. Like, Jen, your contributions to the group have just been like beyond the pale, and I can't tell you how much it has been, how much I've appreciated you having served on the board, and I just want to thank you so much. And obviously, I know you're not going anywhere. You'll be in Wakefield, and there's nothing saying you couldn't apply again in the future.
Right. Their 1-year grace period or something. So, thank you. Thank you.
So yeah.
And Kim is planning on reapplying. She just didn't get her app in time this year.
Right.
and I will still follow along and be a volunteer where I can. So not the last of me you've seen, that's for sure.
It's been great, Jen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then the only other thing is, for those of you staying on, next month we have officer elections. So if people are thinking about that, if they have questions about that, it's for chair, vice chair, and secretary. I know we didn't have a vice chair for the majority of this year, but that is generally how it goes. So if people have questions about what that involves or anything like that, please reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to you. But the way it works is we nominate people at the meeting and then we take a vote. And that will happen at the May meeting. So
So
oh, go ahead.
I know it's not like it matters. Well, it matters to me, but it doesn't involve me. Just given the timing, right? So the fact that the town council has not voted to appoint anybody yet, just want to make sure that those new people will be in place before that next meeting.
So yes, and thank you. That was a big detail in talking about the policies and that document. Next Monday, town council is planning to appoint members to the HRC. They also asked me to come and do an annual report about just events that we've done. So I'm going to be appearing at next week's meeting. And yes, they're also going to be talking about that document. So a lot happening with the HRC at next Monday's town council meeting. So if anybody wants to watch, you are welcome to.
Thank you.
And I will have to plan a time, and do I have a teammate to help me do it, to present an orientation, because we tag teamed it last time, Jen and I.
All right.
And think about it. I'll be asking someone who's been on the commission for at least this past year, and it's a script. You know, it's not a script written in stone, though. You can use your own phrasing as long as we get all the points across that are in the key parts of each slide.
And I also want to say, Amy, depending on what the town council does, I don't know if you'll continue if you will be the liaison position from the police department, but if not, then we would love to still have you. But I also understand that this has been an absolutely surreal and difficult year for you. So you have been a member of the HRC since the very beginning, and your commitment to this organization there is no questioning your commitment in getting it started and in planning events. And yeah, so thank you so much for everything that you've done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other matters not anticipated before we do the action list? All right, Benny, do you want to go over the action list?
Yes, it is somehow weirdly short. So tell me if I've missed things.
We've taken a lot of votes.
Yeah, we have. Okay, so a number of us are going to get together and organize some kind of event for love and inclusion. That includes me, Elizabeth, Teresa, Matt, Gina, Daniela, Charlene, and Jen. It's going to be a party. Everybody please, in the next 2 weeks, send along to Kim and Sherry any information you have about promoting or posting events when we do them. And also please send to Sherry your feedback on the calendar. Maria will
I'll just clarify. I think some of the resources isn't just about promoting it. It's who have you like worked with on the ground too?
Oh, I see.
Contacts. Yeah,
got it.
Example would be that Jen has often mentioned, who at the high school or at the savings bank would you contact in order to use their space?
Okay. Let's see. Maria is going to be in contact with Nicole, McLean, about the North Shore Juneteenth Association, partnering with them for our Juneteenth flag raising. Maria is going to check with the town accountant about having some kind of electronic payment option like Venmo for selling the Hate Has No Home Here signs. Those are all the things that I have.
I mean, somebody needs to buy the Hate Has No Home Here signs, right?
Yeah, I'll circle back with Dan Lieber about ordering those. Yep. And you can also put me down for the scheduling the active bystander training.
Oh, yeah.
Does it need to have on there that I'm going to create that map to be posted in the town hall?
I guess
Or
I don't.
Probably not, because it's part of the greater AA.
Yeah, I don't think we have to have like all the subcommittees' individual actions listed on there. Anything else that I'm missing? Great.
I think that's everything. All right.
Is there an action to start? I know we appointed, or Elizabeth and Daniela both said they would work on Pride, but is there like an action out of that to start like an exploratory, like setting up a first subcommittee or something like that?
So yeah, in terms of the subcommittee, I can, if you want to connect offline, I can tell you about setting up the meetings and making an announcement of meetings and going from there.
That would be great.
Okay.
And now we have documentation on how to request meetings for the town.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn my last meeting as an HRC commissioner for 2021.
2021, right, exactly.
I second the motion.
Thank you. I vote yes. Benny?
I refuse.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
And hope it's not Amy's last.
Right, exactly. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Back.
It was a long meeting. And I'll be in touch.